Welcome. My name is John Coyne, and I am the president of the Medina City Council. Today we're going to be discussing the charter amendment that's coming up on the ballot this November 2nd that all the members, residents of the city of Medina will be voting on. Today I have with me Stacy Bonnets, who is the chairperson of the Charter Review Commission for the city of Medina. Now you may be asking, why is she with us today to discuss this? Well, the Charter Review Commission is in our ordinances, and it requires that every 5 years we appoint a commission. Now this commission's duties are to look at the current charter and make a determination if there needs to be any modifications to that charter, any updates to the charter, or any new additions to the charter. The Charter Commission is made up of 5 members that are appointed by City Council, and it's made up of all the different wards in the city. There are 4 wards in the city of Medina. 5 appointments by the mayor of Medina, and then the charter, once those members are appointed, elect 5 additional members. So that makes up the Charter Review Commission, and it's a commission, again, made up of residents of the city of Medina so that they can go ahead and look at the charter to see if any changes need to be made. So Stacy, welcome again. You served on the Charter Review Commission for 2 terms, and this is your 2nd term.
Correct.
So if you could explain a little bit about how the Charter Review Commission, your service on that, kind of what goes on with the Charter Review Commission, what you discuss, so that everybody can have an understanding of exactly what we're doing here with the Charter Review Commission.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, it was very exciting to be asked to be on the Charter Review Commission again. It helps that we keep about 5 individuals that were from the previous Charter Review, so it's more consistent with the topics. And how we started the commission this time is that we asked yourself, council president, we asked the mayor, we asked the finance director to come to our first meeting and kind of give us some ideas of what they thought should be altered or changed in the charter, since you work and live within the charter every day, and we're only looking at it once every 5 years. So our first meeting, you brought ideas. Each person brought in about 2 different ideas and what they thought. We opened that up to other council members to come into our meetings and talk a little bit more. And what we found, there were ideas that were consistently around the finance director position. Nothing at all about the personalities that are in office right now. Is all about the function of that position and within the city. So there's a lot of conversation with amongst the members. We met every 2 weeks starting back in February. We knew we had a deadline of 120 days before general election to bring a proposal to council. So we met and we went through all the pros and cons. So it was a great discussion, and we came up with this one idea for.
Now that's interesting, because I think I've been on council for a long time, as you know, since 1998, and ever since 1998, I've always thought, since my grandfather was involved in politics, looking how the cities run throughout the state of Ohio, and knowing about 1/3 of the cities in the state of Ohio have an elected finance position, and 2/3 of the cities in the state of Ohio have appointed. I always thought that there's only 3 branches of government, of course, so I always brought this up to say, hey, let the voters decide what they would like to do. Do they want an appointed or elected finance director? And I'm glad to see it's on the ballot to give the voters finally a chance to make this determination. But this isn't the first chance the voters had to vote on this. I pulled out from a while ago, this is from 1964, there was a charter amendment on the ballot at that time for the exact same issue that we have today, which is, do we want an appointed or do we want an elected finance director? At that time, there was only 3,481 people who voted, and the vote was to keep the elected finance position, but it was only by 75 votes. So as you can see, this has kind of been an issue for many, many years, over 40 or 50 years ago. So it's probably time again to have people look at it and make a determination of what they would like to do with this. And I know you served on the commission before, and different things came up. I think over the years, if I recollect, previously on the commission there was an issue of whether or not the planning commission should be city residents only, because it used to be residents from outside the city, and I guess the voters decided that if you're going to make a decision that's going to affect the city, you should live in the city. So that passed. And I think the previous Charter Review Commission that you served on, you made a modification to the qualifications of the finance director. So I think you had that. If you could explain a little bit about your processes that you went through and why you thought it needed to be changed so that people could understand. Again, this one went to the voters and it passed, pretty substantially. I think at the top of on the first page, you can see it probably passed overwhelmingly to make these modifications. So if you could explain a little bit about the previous commission and why you thought this needed to be changed at that time.
Sure. Yeah, it did pass. There was 9,867 for and only 1,577 against. So it did pass pretty highly. And what we try to do is just look at it's tough qualifications, for a finance director position. So we just said that they had to be either licensed CPA or have a 4 years degree or higher in accounting or finance with a minimum of 2 years experience in government. So we just felt that we wanted the most qualified person to run that position for the city of Medina. We all care about the city greatly, that the qualifications of that position really took over whether you're a resident of the city.
Right, and as a finance director, the main functions of the finance director, of course, is to do the day-to-day operations of the financial aspects of the city of Medina, which includes collecting all the revenues from the income tax that are generated and some of the enterprise funds that we have through trash and water. Pay the bills that come in for the city of Medina, make sure that we achieve grants and the grants are paid for. So all the functions of the finance director are really related to the financial operational aspect of the city of Medina and making sure the books are kept properly, because we are audited every year by the state of Ohio, right, or a designee of the state of Ohio, to make sure that all the information that's being provided and all the money that the taxpayers pay to the city are accounted for.
Exactly.
So that there's no discrepancy in those funds. So as far as the position is concerned, it's mainly a position that provides information to the mayor. When the mayor has questions about, well, how much is this project, or where is this money coming from, or how do the income tax collections look, the finance director's duties are, of course, to provide that information, collect the data, and provide it so that better decisions can be made, or better informed decisions can be made by the mayor and the council.
Correct.
Okay, so moving on now.
Right.
We're moving on to this next Charter Review Commission. As you mentioned, everybody looked at this issue again because it has been coming up several times, and I know previously it was discussed, but it never came before council to be put on the agenda. What other kind of things were discussed when everybody looked at the charter? I mean, can you get into detail? I know that there's 15 of you that met on a regular basis, asked several questions of several other members of the community. So kind of give us a feel of the importance of this committee and why we need to make sure that we keep this process moving.
Well, certainly. I mean, as we evolve and as times change, you want to make sure that the charter is staying up to date with things that are new needs of the city. And so we started the Emerging Technology Board is what we came up with as well. What are some changes out there in technology that we have to make sure that the city residents get the improvement of that? And so that was another idea that came up. We talked a little bit about the parks and whatnot. That was another item. We had about 8 different ones, and it was we had to go through each one and see which one did we want to spend time with. But really, actually, the finance director position came up the most. We knew we wanted to spend the time on that because we couldn't put our energy in all of those topics. So. And
again, this is a recommendation from a cross-section, I guess, of the city of Medina making a recommendation to council to say, you know what, let's have the voters decide what they want to do. And every charter amendment that comes up is just that. It's a recommendation from a group of people who make a cross-section of our community to say, we think this is an important enough issue to have the voters decide. So you, as a voter, on November 2nd, will have the opportunity to voice your opinion on whether or not we should have an elected finance director or an appointed finance director. And I think it must be made clear that when we went through this, and when the Charter Review Commission went through this, the appointment, if it is decided that we want an appointed finance director, would not take effect until January 1st, 2026. It has nothing to do with the election this year, because this year, of course, the finance director is on the ballot, and the finance director does not have an opponent this year, so the finance director will be the finance director again as an elected position. But if this changes through this Charter Review Commission's recommendation, in January 1st of 2026, then it would be an appointed finance director. He'll finish out his current term, and there wouldn't be another elected position. Some of the duties and qualifications, again, as you mentioned, we still have that were in place with the previous Charter Review Commission, is that on the date of the appointment, if it is appointed, it had to be a licensed certified public accountant, as you alluded to, which is very important, or have a 4-year degree or higher education and at least a minimum of 2 years of government experience. You yourself are an accountant,
right.
So you kind of know these qualifications.
Correct.
And looking at you as a representative of the Charter Review Commission, you have a unique qualification to let everybody know that these are important things.
Right.
And in your discussions, I assume everybody else brought their own personal experiences in to make that determination. What else happened with the Charter Review Commission, and that you could explain to us? 'Cause I think people that are listening would like to know, why do we do this? I mean,
right.
do you think it's a good thing to do? Do you think it's important that we look at the charter every so often? You mentioned that things have changed, technology and stuff. What do you view this as a way government should operate?
Right. It was very useful. I mean, a lot of the members didn't realize some of the items that we struggle with, things that should be added to the charter. It was a great cross-section of different business, different industries that were part of the committee, and having those different perspectives and opinions. So even with the finance director option of being elected or appointed, there were a lot of different ideas and opinions within the committee of whether it should go or not. And a lot of people just didn't understand what the duty of the finance director was. And so until you go through that charter and you read those duties and realize, oh wait, they aren't making those final decisions of those, you're just providing information. Oh, I get that now. So you learn quite a bit during this process.
Well, yes, and I think you hit it right on the head. I think the Charter Review Commission listens to people. This is not a mayor making a decision,
right,
or council making a decision. This is an appointed group of people, right, who give us recommendations.
Right.
And then we say, you know what, those recommendations are important enough to give it to the public to make a vote. So I think you're right. I mean, going back and forth and having a discussion amongst the various members of the group, looking at the issues of the time and saying, you know what, how do we become a better city? Mm-hmm. And then we let the voters make a determination.
Exactly.
So on this November 2nd, the voters will have the option to vote in the ballot language. Let me read the ballot language so everybody's aware of it, so when they see it, they can have an understanding of it. The ballot language that the citizens of the city of Medina will be reading when they go to the ballot will be, shall Article 5, Section 1 and 3 of Article 3 of Section 12, that's so confusing right there, but that's just the legal language that has to be in there, of the Charter of the City of Medina, Ohio, be amended so as to eliminate the elected office of the Director of Finance and provide for the appointment of the Director of Finance by the mayor, subject to the confirmation of Medina City Council, and provide for the qualifications, powers, duties, and functions of an appointed finance director. Now again, if you vote yes, you're saying, I do not want an elected position. I want an appointed position. If you vote no, you want an elected position. So again, this is not a situation where people, I think you probably had discussions in your committee of, well, we don't want to give the mayor all this power.
Right, right.
The mayor shouldn't have, but it doesn't. The language reads that it has to be confirmed by city council. So the mayor just can't say, I want somebody to serve as my finance director, and I don't care what anybody else says, they're going to be my finance director. And I think that's kind of a backstop, and I'm sure there was discussion on that.
There was a lot of discussion on that. That was one of the big worries of going to appointed is that, well, what if the mayor picks his neighbor and his friend, or maybe someone that's not qualified? Well, first we have the qualifications still as a finance director, so that was key, but also that the vote from city council. We need that voice to also be backing up the mayor. And the other big part of it was the accountability of that position. So then that finance director could be removed from office with 2/3 affirmative vote from city council. So
correct. You're correct. The language in the ordinance would read, that effective January 1st, 2026, the director of finance shall be appointed by the mayor. This is, again, if you vote yes, subject to confirmation by city council, as we just talked about. Then, you hit it on the head, the director of finance shall be subject to removal by affirmative vote of 2/3 of the of city council. So therefore, if something's going on that is not liked, because remember, city council is elected by all the residents of the city too, they would have an opportunity to say, hey, we don't like what's going on. There's something going on either between the mayor and the finance director. We want to remove that finance director from that position to protect the integrity of the city. So I mean, that's a good point, and I think that works very well. At least, you know, there's multiple people in charge instead of just one person in charge. So, and of course, the director of finance term of office will be concurrent with that of the mayor, because the mayor is up for election this year also. So their terms will be coterminous, so to speak, and so they'll serve at the pleasure of one another, and of course at the confirmation of the city council. So I think that's kind of important, and I believe there's other things that will come up in future charter review commissions. I mean, we talked about before, you know, what about parking issues? What about autonomous vehicles? We got all these issues coming up, and we want to be able to stay ahead of the curve, and hopefully in future charter review commissions, and maybe you'll be on it again, we can look at these issues and make a determination of what's important to the city of Medina. What do we need to change in our charter to anticipate these changes in transportation? You know, there's going to be a lot of changes happening. We have to be ahead of it.
Exactly.
I know we're one of the few cities that have 2 parking garages because of so much activity in the square. That could all change if we have autonomous vehicles. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else you'd like to add with respect to your service to the city through the Charter Review Commission, or anything related to the appointment or elected official of the finance director? I think our goal is to provide information to the public so they can make an informed decision.
I think through the process, what was great was giving an opportunity for you, the mayor, and the council to let us know some of the issues that you see, and to, you know, have the administration run smoothly for everyone. You know, we don't see behind the scenes as city residents what you deal with, and so to hear from you what some of the hurdles are, some of the struggles, it was an honor to have the ability to look at that and be able to help and see what we could do to take those hurdles away. So,
well, that's wonderful. I mean, the goal is we want to help the community the best we can. Everybody wants to serve the community and help the community, and I think we do that through the Charter Review Commission and through our service to the city. But I appreciate your service on the Charter Review Commission. I think this is a great opportunity for the voters to make a determination of what they'd like to see our city to look like. You know, whether it be an appointed finance director or an elected finance director. And if anybody has any questions related to, you know, what do I do? What's more confusion? I need more information. You can contact the city. You can contact myself, the council office, or, you know, we can give the information to Stacy if you'd rather hear from the commission rather than somebody who's elected in the city. We can provide that information so everybody can have that information. Again, I appreciate your time, and hopefully everybody gets out and votes on November 2nd, because the most important thing is to get out and vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
How's that?